love them or hate them, roller coasters are incredible pieces of engineering. Their design utilizes important aspects of mechanical engineering and physics. The first person to patent a design for what could be considered a roller coaster was the 19th century American businessman Lamarcus Adna Thompson, who is later known as the father of gravity. While Thompson wasn't the first person to create what we think of today as a roller coaster, he is widely credited for popularizing them. Originally a carpenter, Thompson made a fortune after founding a company that manufactured women's stockings. He was inspired to build his first roller coaster after a trip to the hills in eastern Pennsylvania. There he experienced a converted railroad line that had become a popular tourist attraction. Called the Mauch-Chunk Switchback Railway, this was an 18-mile-long, largely downhill railroad through striking landscape. It featured a 2,300-foot-long, 665-foot drop at its end and was a huge success with tourists. Thompson wanted to try to capture the essence of the thrill this railroad offered, but in a smaller size. And so the concept of the roller coaster was born. Thompson named his ride the Switchback Railway, and it officially opened on Coney Island in 1884. It was an immediate, unmitigated success. While modest by the standards of even the most basic roller coaster today, it would give birth to an entirely new type of theme park attraction, loved and feared by millions of people from all around the world. For engineers tasked with designing modern roller coasters, there are a number of important considerations. The rides must be infallibly safe, while also exciting for the riders. This is no small challenge. Most roller coasters tend to consist of 4 basic components. 1. The train cars, which must restrain the riders and stay attached to the track. 2. The design of the track. 3. A system to raise the car up to the high parts of the course. 4. Some form of brake system to safely slow down the car where required, especially at the end. Roller coasters are commonly made of either steel or wood. For modern roller coasters, steel is usually preferred for its strength and durability. Before they begin, designers work with park owners to figure out what they're trying to accomplish with the ride. Are they trying to outdo a competing park, or maybe appeal to a particular group of people? They must also determine the course of the tracks and where they will be placed. For this, designers need to look at the flow of the ride to create rises, falls, and crescendos. This is not as easy as it sounds. Typically, most roller coasters need to fit into a predetermined footprint of land, and so the track design can be quite involved. Some can also be quite long, despite the space restrictions. For example, the Steel Dragon 2000 in Japan is an amazing 8,133 feet long and takes 4 minutes to complete. The train cars travel at around 95 miles per hour in some places. Wow! Roller coaster engineers also have to balance safety needs with keeping the ride thrilling. If it's too fast, it might put off the average rider or make them feel sick. However, if the ride is too slow and sluggish, it will be boring. Well-designed roller coasters take advantage of the interplay between anticipation and surprise to develop a precisely detailed pace that includes intense thrills followed by lulls. In some ways, this can be considered more of an art form than engineering. After a design is approved, engineers must figure out things like the amount of G-forces that will be felt by each rider and how much steel is needed. Once the track is designed and constructed, the next phase is to make sure it works. One primary consideration is keeping the cars on the track. With the complex interplay of forces involved, cars could easily come off the track on corners or hill crests. This would really ruin everyone's day. To ensure this doesn't happen, roller coaster train cars have special safety mechanisms to keep them attached to the track. Early roller coasters relied on wheels similar to those on traditional passenger trains that restricted sideways movements. But as roller coasters became more complex, with loop-the-loops and tight turns, more sophisticated solutions were required to prevent accidents. Modern roller coaster cars incorporate a series of wheels or a metal bar beneath the track that prevents the car from lifting up. Some also have a third set of wheels or bars on the side of the track to ensure the cars will never lose contact with the track. The train cars rely solely on gravity to get them around the track. This requires the strategic placement of peaks in the track's design and chain pulley systems to get them there. The pulley system effectively stores up potential energy as it raises the car up a slope. Once at the crest of a peak, the pulley system releases the car and gravity does the rest. These pulley systems often consist of a long length of metal chain beneath the track and fastened into a loop. This loop tends to be wound around two main gears, one at the crest of the hill and one at the base of it. The bottom gear is usually turned using a basic motor, which in turn moves the chain up the hill in a similar fashion to a conveyor belt. Each car of the roller coaster is attached to these pulley chains using something called chain dogs. These are hinged hooks that hang below the cars and latch onto the chain whenever they come into contact with them. Once the cars reach the crest of a particular hill section, these hooks disengage and all that stored potential energy is unleashed, much to the rider's excitement or dread. As the car charges around the track, various peaks and troughs either convert the train's momentum into potential energy or release this stored energy into kinetic energy. Most modern coasters consist of several hills. Otherwise, the initial buildup would have to be enough for the car to complete the course. This is a critical part of the roller coaster's design. Engineers also need to consider how the careening car will be slowed down and stopped at the end of the ride. This is accomplished either through designing the track to passively reduce the amount of kinetic energy or by using a system of brakes to slow down and stop the cars. If brakes are required, these are integrated into the tracks. The braking systems tend to be hydraulic, and today they are also usually controlled by a computer. Roller coasters also tend to have a series of clamps on the track, and at the end of the ride is a fail-safe in case emergency braking is needed. Coasters must undergo a great deal of testing before a single person is allowed on. So as you can see, designing and building a roller coaster requires careful consideration and some very sophisticated knowledge of physics and engineering. That being said, some roller coasters like the Takabisha in Japan or Millennium Force in the USA might just question the sanity of some of these designers. So next time you ride a roller coaster, take a moment if you can to appreciate the hard work and dedication that has gone into keeping you safe and scared for a few brief moments of your life.